What is going on, guys? It is the Clevercraft here, and today I will be taking you through a full breakdown of how to use the Root Riders and Valkyries here at Town Hall 18 in Legends League. Hopefully by the end of the video you have a pretty good grasp on how to use this strategy, and you can take it into Legends League yourself and hopefully have a lot of success. So let's get right into this breakdown here. Alright guys, so let's get right into this breakdown, and the first part of that is getting a proper funnel, and that starts with those two red zones. So down at the lower red area, we're going to be doing a Royal Champion walk using the Spirit Fox and 7 Invis spells. This RC walk is super important. It gets rid of the bottom side buildings and forces the core pathing to stay tight in the middle, and it also helps remove a few key threats early. And up top, that red area, we're going to be using the Archer Queen with the Siege Barracks. So this entire area needs to be cleared so the main army goes straight towards the center of the base instead of getting stuck on the outside. Once both red funnel areas are cleared, we send in the main force down the middle, following the directions of the red arrows. So this is where we drop our Root Riders, Valkyries, Balloons, Healers, Grand Warden, and the Minion Prince. And the goal is to push into that central yellow section of the base as quickly as possible. So make sure you redeploy the RC behind the Root Riders. She helps clean up and pick off defenses as the Root Riders tank ahead of her. And this yellow area is where a lot of high DPS defenses are, so you'll want to use the Warden's ability to tank through most of this. So this is why the funnel is so important. We want every major troop going to directly into this area. And now let's look over at the right side here. This is where a lot of high DPS defenses are in that blue area, along with some of the strongest heroes. So here you'll see the Minion Prince and the King. So this is where we want to use the two Totem Spells that we bring. So these totems soak up a lot of damage, and it allows the army to survive the burst from the heroes and those defenses there. You'll also want to use your Minion Prince's ability towards the end here. He slows down defenses with the Dark Orb, and also will take reduced damage because we're using the Metal Pants. And this is the strategy that you kind of want to follow for every base that you see. And the most important part of this attack is of course the funnel, but knowing when to use spells and abilities is also crucial. The Queen's ability is pretty simple and straightforward. You'll immediately use the Giant Arrow and spawn the Giant to help her tank and clear that section of the base up top. The Warden's ability is also relatively straightforward. You'll have Rage Gem and Eternal Atone with him, and you'll want to use Eternal Atone very early in the attack, right as your troops start to get into that high DPS area. You'll see I have that yellow X marked there, and that's probably the best time to use your Warden ability. The RC will have the Electro Boots and Rocket Spear, of course the Electro Boots for the RC charge, but we want to use that Rocket Spear during or just after the Warden's ability wears off. That allows her to stay behind the Root Riders for longer and do a bit of extra damage to some of those defenses. And then the last guy, the Minion Prince, his ability is a little trickier. So you're going to have the Dark Orb and the Metal Pants with him. And you'll want to typically use his ability later into the attack, kind of when there are those defenses left that the Root Riders are slowly walking towards. And it's very nice to have the Dark Orb to slow them down. And also, you're really hoping that he's a bit ahead of the rest of the pack here so that he can tank with the Metal Pants. The other thing are the spells. So, of course, you're going to want to recall the RC after you finish the walk there at the bottom. You also want to bring 2 rage spells. At least that's what I prefer. Some people prefer to bring an overgrowth and 1 rage. Some people even prefer 2 overgrowth spells. But I find if you set the funnel correctly, the overgrowth spells really are a lot less useful than the rage spells. If you do find that you're not as great at funneling, you can switch out 1 or even 2 of the rage spells for overgrowth spells, and the other spells you want are 2 totem spells. It doesn't really matter which spells you bring in your clan castle as long as you keep these spells here. That's the most important part. Now let's get into the live attack where you can see this strategy in action. Alright, so here you can see the army, and a link to it will be down in the description for you to copy. So let's get right into this attack. As you can see, this is the base that we showed you with the strategy. And now it's time to get into the attack. So of course here I'm scouting, trying to figure out the best way to funnel this army in. And once I figured that out, that's when I deploy the Royal Champion. Now with her invisibility spells, you do want to drop the invisibility as the time turns from 2 minutes and 57 seconds left to 2:56. You'll see that here. And the other important thing is sometimes if you're in a very high DPS area, you can drop her ability at 2 minutes and 57 seconds exactly, or even a bit before, and then drop another invisibility spell. You'll kind of lose out on the Spirit Fox and her invisibility, but you get a couple extra seconds from the Spirit Fox if you have to do that, and you will keep both of them at a high level of health. Keeping them up in health is also very important. You don't want to lose the Spirit Fox early, which really helps the RC's survivability as the attack goes on. So here you can see we've finished all of the clearing with the RC charge. She's going to finish up here. Sometimes I'll let her stay invisible for a little bit to get an extra building there. But you don't always have to. Sometimes you can pick her up earlier. So there we go. We drop the Siege Barracks and the Queen, use her ability. We drop that wizard or two down there just to clear those buildings quickly. And now I'm just kind of waiting for the funnel to get set. It looks pretty set here. The Queen and the Giant are still working up top. And when I like to deploy, I usually do the Ice Golem, then the Root Riders, and then I like to do the Balloons, then the Healers, then the Valkyries, and then of course your Minion Prince and your RC. So as you can see, I've Warden ability through this main compartment of the base. We're soaking up a lot of damage with that ability. And as it's worn off now, I want to drop that first Totem Spell in this area. It really helps soak up that damage, especially because this person has that bell and it makes these heroes even stronger. So there you can see the RC's ability was also used kind of earlier there. And that helped pick off some of those defenses. So now we drop the wizard, the other archer there, and that just helps pick off a few of those things. So as you can see, unfortunately the RC dies, but that's not too big of an issue. We still have a lot of the army left here to take out the rest of the base. And this is pretty much how you want to do every attack with this strategy. So if you guys want to see me break down some more attacks for you in the future, please let me know. If you want to see some other strategy breakdowns, I'd be happy to do those as well. But that is it for this strategy breakdown. I will see you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, and thanks for watching.